Yes guys, I'm Si. Welcome back to Cardiff City World. Welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to turn our focus to one key performance in recent weeks, and that was the win against Wrexham on Tuesday night. That match was more than about the victory. It was about the performance. It has to be the benchmark going forward, because for Cardiff City to realise our ambitions under Brian Barry Murphy, we must make this level of performance the standard and not the exception. Now, it did feel like the team, the players, the manager, everyone, the fans, we all suddenly remembered what has made Cardiff City so good at the start of this season. And this is going to be a bit of a deep dive into that. We're going to analyse exactly how and why this performance was so important, what the stats tell us, how the front four was so vital to that performance, the key individuals, who influence things, and most importantly, how we can translate this into consistency, intensity, and doing the right things every week, which will ultimately, hopefully, lead to promotion back to the Championship. But let's start where we like to go, innit? Like, why does this performance matter? Well, this match against Wrexham mattered for several reasons. Firstly, you give it a bit of context. Wrexham are a team which, as much as people don't want to admit it, they are a team on the up. They're a fellow Welsh team. They have the momentum, the ambition, the owners. They've gone, multiple promotions back to back. They're doing very well. But therefore, there is significance to the game, because beyond getting through to the next round, there's a bit of an identity statement, culture and the Welsh aspect, of course. But ultimately, they are a team looking to get to the Premier League. They are a team who have spent a lot of money. They are a Championship team, whilst we are a League One team currently, which means that it was a big game in terms of League One v Championship. A lot of people will criticise Vincent Tan rightly about his ownership, but whilst also the Hollywood guys get a lot of praise rightly for their ownership and the way they've done things to a certain extent. Incidentally, just very quickly on Vincent Tan, Friday night I've recorded later on today an interview with the man behind the recent documentary you might have seen about Vincent Tan's ownership and his time under Cardiff City, or at Cardiff City. So that'll be a good one. I'm recording that later today, so that'll be out Friday night. So please do check that out. But going back to it, secondly, when you look at the statistical side of it, according to Footy Stats, Cardiff have registered 23 shots in the fixture and kept Wrexham to just 14, which 14 is a big improvement on recent weeks for Cardiff. We've been conceding 20 plus shots most games. Cardiff enjoyed 10 corners compared with Wrexham's 3, and those numbers showed a dominance in the attacking metrics and territory, of course. Possession was roughly equal following the second half. Obviously, it was very high in the first half, but actually Wrexham had quite a lot of the ball, and it was around about 50-50 in the end. But Cardiff's impact in the final third was where they were far, far superior. And then lastly, the baseline for consistency. We know Cardiff have the youthful squad, the exciting players, but they also have relative limitations in terms of senior players and squad depth. And this squad's opportunity to prove that they can sustain the intensity, deliver in the big moments. It's a performance like that which gives you, data, and it gives you proof and footage, belief in the group that you can make it repeatable. So for me, this match mattered, yes, because it set the standard, but the performance was what was really important. That showed what we looked like when we're at our absolute tip-top best. Now, I still think there's room for improvement. We need to be more clinical with our finishing. But in terms of creating chances, in terms of the high press, in terms of turning over the ball, possession, tempo, everything else was pretty spot on, you've got to say. And even the midfield tactical tweak from the manager in the second half, bringing that number 8 a bit deeper to give us a bit more structural solidity and foundation to make us a bit more solid in the transition, for sure. So we set the tone, but what's next? We saw the intensity, we saw the execution, we saw key phases, particularly in the first half of Cardiff City dominating. So when you break down what did Cardiff do in this match and where can they still improve, Well, let's have a look at it. What worked? From the opening minutes, we looked like we had a purpose. Everything we did, whether it was pressing, passing, movement off the ball, tracking back, everything had a reason. Everyone looked like they had the right attitude. We broke the deadlock relatively early with Yusuf Salic knocking in the rebound in the 12th minute from a shot from Omari Kellyman, who was electric on the evening. Cardiff created a significant volume of shots with 23 in total, 10 corners, and that shows that intent, the territorial advantage. Of course, Wrexham got a somewhat fortuitous equaliser for me. Keeper Moore, it's a decent header from point blank range, but the deflection is what makes it a chance, because I believe if that cross comes in without the deflection, Callum Chambers probably does enough to deal with it. But the deflection made it loop over Callum and he got caught underneath it. But rather than panicking, Cardiff regained control of the game. We got the winner through Will Fish, of course, in the 71st minute with an excellent volley at the back post. However, what Cardiff did to kill Wrexham's momentum was really interesting. We didn't sit in, we didn't sit back, we didn't invite pressure. What we did is keep the ball and move it fast. We had a set structure, 4 at the back. We had Robertson and Turnbull, Ruben just in front. We kept the ball, we moved it, and we got people like Isaac Davis, Kean Ashford, Salic, Ruben. We got them into attacking positions and in behind and put Wrexham on the back foot that way. That was really pleasing to see, because that's a really positive way to regain control of the game. The depths of the squad were on display somewhat. Alex Robertson came off the bench, had a massive impact on regaining the control of the game. He gave fresh legs, he gave a bit of pace, and he maintained the intensity in terms of moving the ball quickly. He works really well off 2-touch, and he always looks for that return ball. And I think you've got to give David Turnbull a little bit of credit as well off the bench. His composure and his ability to slow things down also helped us to regain that control. Where do we need to improve? Well, I think possession was relatively even. I think in the second half, maybe you'd like to have seen us have a slightly higher possession. But, football matches go in momentum. That's completely normal. Did we allow Wrexham back into the game in the second half? I think second half, we did a little bit early on. But that was always coming because of the momentum. They were going to come out and they were going to fight. They get the relatively early goal second half. Gives them that impetus and gives them that extra belief. The crowd's with them, etc. So maybe we could have been a bit more aggressive in the second half. But more so to me, we should have put the game to bed before half-time. And I think that clinical finishing is not the first time that's been sort of glaring. Now, on one hand, you could say their keeper had a good game. He made some good saves. We hit the bar twice. So, you can only do so much. But the conversion rate has definitely got to improve. We're creating big chances. That's vital. But finishing them is what is important. Consistently, we must finish them. Cardiff got us to sharpen the edge with that final ball, final shot, etc. Defensive concentration, I thought, was pretty excellent during this game. The equaliser, it does come from an aerial duel, but I feel that Callum Chambers was a little bit unlucky because he got caught under it due to the deflection. The chance comes from a bit of a transition, but again, that's going to happen when Wrexham are trying to force the issue and get back into the game. And I thought, generally speaking, the defensive organisation was really good. Callum Chambers was excellent. Will Fish was sensational. And the two fullbacks were very good as well. Especially at set pieces, corners, free kicks. We defend those really well. The second balls, I would like to see us be a little bit tighter. But, it wasn't what I would call an issue. The main issue for me was just the finishing. Get the finishing right. That game's out of sight in the first half, And then you look at it like for a blueprint going forward. How can we lock in what we want to get? How can we make these performances more consistent and week in, week out in the league? Well, from kickoff, we need to have the right intensity. It needs to have that high pressing, that tempo, that ball movement, the movement off the ball of the players, and purposeful passing. Not sideways, backwards, happy to keep the ball early on. Let's put teams under pressure, early doors, and force mistakes, turn the ball over high up the pitch, and when we get it, let's move it off 2-touch. Let's move off the ball looking for return passes. Let's look for those third man runs in behind and really put teams under pressure. In possession, I think the mixture of passing was pretty good. We had some vertical passes in there as well when needed. We played off 1 or 2 touch when needed. The link-ups were particularly impressive, so that's encouraging. And it's just making sure that that link-up and that chemistry between the front four chemistry in and out of possession on Tuesday was excellent. Ashford, Kellyman, Salic and Ruben. Now, of course, you've got Isaac Davis, you've got Callum Robinson, Naya Kahawa, Willock to come back in. You've got Ollie Tanner to come back in later as well. So there's definite options in those areas, and it's making sure we get the right balance of those players to get the best out of the team. And that's what's most important, is the balance of the team and making sure we've got the right players for the right games to have this intensity. And most of all, we've talked about it a lot recently, but tempo. When we play at a high tempo, we do look a different animal. Out of possession, the front players pressed really well. Midfielders are compact, and then they jumped. The defenders squeezed right up with the midfield, so there was no gaps. That's the way it's got to be from the off every week. And then you have the impact from the substitutes. If you're not in the starting 11, you have to be ready to play from the first minute. Injuries, sendings off, things can change very quickly in football in that 90 minutes. The substitutes will always have an option, have an impact. And the other side of that is, we all know, football's a squad game in 2025, and substitutes make a massive difference. Them having the right attitude and mentality is vital. So whoever's in the starting 11, whoever's on the bench, they have to make an impact when they come on. Finish your chances, be cold-blooded in attack, be clinical, and defend relentlessly. No drop-offs, no mistakes. Gabriel Osho came on for a little cameo at the end. No mistakes. Keep your concentration levels high and keep the standards high. Dylan Lawler, Will Fish and Callum Chambers, alongside Bagan and Kapakio and Periengi, they've set a really high standard for defensive concentration. Gabriel Osho now, to single him out, unfortunately, he has to find similar concentration, focus and performance levels if he wants to play. And when you look at that sort of tactical breakdown of the front four, the impact off the bench of players, senior players digging in, it's quite interesting from the performance Tuesday, and something that we can definitely take forward. I talked about the balance of the front four and the job they do in and out of possession. And when you dig into that front four operated really smoothly together. The balance looked just right. But how did the bench come into play? Which senior players stepped up? Well, let's look at the front four first. Kean Ashford, his direct running and his link-up play were evident on Tuesday. He looked like a guy refreshed and no longer looked like a guy with the world on his shoulders. He looked motivated, he looked refreshed, and he looked like he was enjoying his football. Getting the ball early to Kean Ashford is the key point that we need to do. His presence up front really stretches defence, because he can go inside or outside. He looks a bit sharper off the left, even though I do like him on the right with his decision making. He does look more dangerous off the left. He creates space for others, whether that's the overlap or Ruben running in behind for the underlap. He did a great job, and that's something that we need to maintain out of him and get that consistency, because at the start of the season, Kean Ashford was electric. Yusuf Salic, for me, I think he's been solid all season and hasn't got the credit he deserves. But I think what we are seeing now is start to be the Yusuf Salic that we saw last year. He scores the opener, yes, but more importantly, his opportunism and his reaction to that goal is, of course, massive. He has to be there, reacting to Kellyman's shot, capitalising on the rebound, and it's that instinct to be in those goal-scoring places that make him a vital key in the Cardiff City sort of key in their lock and how they want to play. And also, with Salic, his link-up play has been really, really good the last couple of games, and we have to build on that as well. He looked dare I say, a bit Callum Robinson-esque at times, with the way he dropped in, popped it off. And yes, he's strong, he shields the ball, he's physical, he gets in these battles. He didn't get distracted by the physical battle. He didn't get distracted by moaning at the ref. I loved his attitude on Tuesday, and that's what I want to see from him. Because the number 9, Yusuf Salic, that we saw last season was absolutely sensational and just too good for League One. If we can get that performance level out of him now for the rest of the season, my oh my, will he score some goals. Omari Kellyman, you know, the guy was on fire, and this was, I thought, his coming out party in many ways, because this was against a higher level opposition in terms of the league, and he just looked unplayable. They did not have an answer to him. He was able to go both ways, although he prefers to cut in on his left. He linked up well with Capaccio. His ability and his touch under pressure are elite. Like, make no mistake, this is a Premier League player who's maintaining his fitness at a League One club. We're lucky to have him, and his attacking movement and his intelligence, his football IQ are massive. The way he glides past players, the angles that he creates, they are going to really build, and I think him and Ruben will build a really strong understanding, and I expect to see them two exchanging little 1-2s around the box before long, creating clear-cut one-on-one chances. When you then look, you know, you can bring Callum Robinson in. When he returns, we've got to integrate him into this sort of front four system, and his presence, he's a senior player, he's experienced, he scores goals. Put him in the right positions, he scores goals. He has got a goal-scoring pedigree, and physically, as long as he can stay fit and out of his own head, he offers a lot in behind. He stretches defences, he creates room for other people, and that means that whoever's in this front four, we have to make it incredibly difficult for teams to defend against. But it's about getting the balance right per game. Some games will call for Willock, some games will call for Ashford, some games will call for Robinson, Salic. Some parts of games we might need both. Whoever it is, Isaac Davis, Kellyman, you know, Tanner when he's back. We have a lot of firepower there. It's making sure the balance is right to utilise their skill sets for certain games. Isaac Davis, who I mentioned there, Isaac's biggest challenge now is maintain his fitness. You know, touch wood, he's stayed fit this season and he looks sharp. But second now is he's got to have the same impact when he starts, or a similar impact when he starts, as when he does when he comes off the bench. Because when he comes off the bench, he looks electric, dangerous, in behind. And of course, he's playing against tired opposition. He always works hard, he always does defensive work, and he always looks okay. But when he starts, that's what he's got to work on now, is having the similar sort of impact that we saw from Kellyman in the first half against Wrexham. But why does that front four matter so much to the balance of Cardiff? Well, the pressing from the front four starts the whole process. Obviously, we press in a 4-4-2 system with Ruben and either Salic or Robinson being the pressers. I will say, I think our press looks stronger with Salic, but I think Robinson is capable of it. So that doesn't really make too much difference. Then you have the transition from defence to attack. Our ability to ping balls out to our wingers, and no matter who the winger is, they're able to kill the ball dead if the ball's good and just go at their fullback. That's an easy and effective way to isolate the winger versus the fullback one-on-one and do it quickly. Whether it's Kellyman, whether it's Ashford, whether it's Isaac, whoever it may be, Willock, they all seem to have been working on that first touch. Now, the movement off the ball, that was a big thing for me in Wrexham. One of my biggest pet peeves last year was a lack of movement off the ball. Ashford, Kellyman, Salic, they all made runs off the ball when other people had the ball, looking to free up space for others or to get in behind. Overlapping, underlapping, third man runs, whatever it may be. That was what enabled us to create scoring opportunities and shooting opportunities. Defensively, that front four are vital because they start the press, they track back, they create numbers in the wide areas, and they allow us to win the ball up high up the field. The substitutions, of course, you've got to get those right as the manager. He's been pretty good, I think, in influencing games. when the intensity drops, when we're chasing a goal. And on Tuesday, when we really could have lost control of the game when they scored, the changes really helped us just regain control, composure, and I thought we finished the game the stronger side. And Brian Barry Murphy deserves a lot of credit. Generally speaking, most games his substitutes have an impact. Bolton, obviously, recently was not able to do the same. Maybe he left like the Robinson sub a bit late, things like that. But this was a key tactical marker against Wrexham in terms of the press, the possession, everything that we did it very well. And I think what fans want to see now is that consistency. And what, for me personally, if we play with the intensity that we have at our best this year, more often than not, I do feel that will be very difficult to stop. Just looking at a few key performance indicators from this game, we are, or going forward even, shots per match 20. We want to be regularly getting 20 shots off per game. 8 to 10 corners and making that sort of final third dominance pay with goals. But we need to stop conceding so many shots. And I do think that midfield tweak that he made later on in the second half against Wrexham, that's a really good sign. And I hope that's a tweak that we see regularly now, because that extra foundation and solidity in the transition will be massive to not expose in the back four. And I guess, look, let's finish with this. The mindset, the identity, just reinforcing these young players to play with freedom, but to find that consistency. You don't get extra points for style, but it is about how you win, because it breeds confidence, it breeds belief. So that pressing, that tempo, that one touch, vertical, short movement, passing, Cardiff have got to expect themselves to perform at that. They've got to demand that they perform at that level week in, week out. Because a performance like Tuesday, week in, week out, takes them back to the Championship. It's as simple as that. Because very few League One sides will deal with the absolute quality that Cardiff City had on Tuesday evening. The win versus Wrexham was a big statement. A real big statement. Because Cardiff delivered on the big stage. They delivered attacking impetus, tactical discipline, squad strength, and the composure to see out the game when they could have lost control of it. But more importantly, it showed what these young players are capable of. There was pressure on Tuesday. All the cameras were out, all the Sky, the ITV, the big game, the Hollywood. Put that in your documentary, a few people have said. Will it feature in the documentary? I'm sure it would have if they'd won. I guess we'll see. But the challenge is now, can we make that performance repeatable? Can we find the consistency? If you win at that level and that level of performance, can you produce that intensity week in, week out? Can you show that commitment every week? Because the season is long, the season is brutal. Every opponent will raise their game to play Cardiff City, and every opponent provides a different problem for Brian Barry Murphy and his team to solve. The front four have got to find a balance and link up consistently. The bench have got to make an impact. The defence have got to keep the concentration and performance levels that they've had. Nathan Trott has got to keep being the unbelievable keeper that he is. So I guess to my fellow City fans, I say this. We've got to hold this performance up as the benchmark. Demand that next time, Ashford, Salic, Kellyman, Robinson, Ruben, etc. take the pitch. They bring the pace, the movement, the connection, the threat. And demand, Alex Robertson, he needs to start when he's able to. This has got to be our standard now. I trust Brian Barry Murphy to go about doing that. And I think for as fans, the best thing we can do is we get behind the team and let them know that we are with them, we're with the manager. And I got to say, watching this football is genuinely enjoyable. The problem lies is when the tempo's not there and we become that sideways, backwards, when we lose a bit of belief and we lose a bit of confidence and we lose a bit of intensity. That's when it becomes a bit dire to watch. There's a thin line. In my opinion, when we move the ball fast and we play with that level of intensity Our squad is more than good enough. Our squad is young enough, and we have the quality to do some real damage and go and get promoted in League One. But as always, it isn't just about what I think. I'm interested in what you guys think. Do you think if Cardiff maintain that level of performance, that level of intensity and quality, they will go up automatically? Or do you think it would be playoffs? Do you still worry that there's problems? I'm genuinely interested in what you've got to say. As always, please don't just go, yes, no. Give that context, give that detail. Let's have a proper conversation about it all. If you haven't already, please check out the interview. We had a new episode of Rob and Reese Meets last night with EFL legendary striker Craig Smith. What a goal scorer he was. That was a really interesting show. Live questions, all that is really good. They did a great job. Tomorrow night, we've got the maker of the recent Vincent Tan documentary or about his era at Cardiff City. So I'm looking forward to speaking to him. And of course, tonight, live, Matthew and Aaron will be joining you guys to talk about everything, look ahead to the weekend, and so much more. And I'll say this, please, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, share the videos. But I'll say this, if you love what we do at Cardiff City World, producing content 7 days a week, most of the time, at least 2 videos a day, please do become a member. You can do it at patreon.com/AcePodcastNation, or you can join through the Cardiff City YouTube channel, Cardiff City World YouTube channel. It's the price of a coffee per month, but it makes such a big difference to us. Your memberships allow us to travel and make the Inside the EFL series. It allows us to create content 7 days a week. And without your memberships, this channel would be gone pretty quick. So thank you so much for the support. If you're not a member, please do become one, because you are the game changers. Keep the faith, my friends, and I'll see you in a bit. Nice one. This channel is powered by an incredible membership community on Cardiff City World and patreon.com/AcePodcastNation. Becoming a member unlocks exclusive rewards from early access to live event tickets, bonus content, and even the occasional inside transfer scoop when we get it. But more importantly, it allows us to bring you top quality Cardiff City content 7 days a week. Across those 7 days, we're talking match previews, exclusive interviews, instant match reactions, the breakdown podcast, tactical deep dives, the spotlight series, Bluebirds Rewind, Academy Focus, and just so much more. Led by myself, backed by an army of passionate Cardiff City fans, this is content created by fans for fans. Balanced, professional, and 100% all about the club we all love. If you enjoy what we do, then join the community today and support what we are doing as we help to keep Cardiff City World flying high.